It is almost time for the Dorian Film Toast 2021 to begin. Are you excited? I am so excited. Things are heating up everywhere, including right here on the Las Vegas Strip. Let's just face it, I'm so excited to be anywhere after a year and a half. You could have taken me to the grocery store. I'd have been thrilled. I've got both my vaccines. I hope you get vaccinated as soon as you can so we can all start getting back to life. Back to life. Back to reality. I am Karel. We've got a great show coming up for you. We've got government officials, we've got huge celebrities, we've got everything except a bad time. We're only going to have a good time for the next couple of hours, so please tune into the Dorian Film Toast 2021. And don't forget, social media us, baby. Hashtag Dorian Film Toast 2021 and hashtag Movies Matter. Because we know they matter to you. Why don't you tell us what movies matter to you? What movies changed your life? What movies changed your world? What movies changed your view on things? Hashtag Movies Matter, hashtag Dorian's Film Toast 2021. And don't forget, you can see everything at DoriansToast.com. We are going to be having some fun here on the Dorian Film Toast 2021, so please enjoy a reprise from the Black Donnellys, who are still inside Reraw. We'd also like to thank our friends at Iowa Legendary Rye, Heath at Iowa Legendary Rye, for sponsoring the Black Donnellys. You know, this was his grandmother's recipe. Grandma was rockin', honey. She knew how to take care of business. Check out Iowa Legendary Rye at iowalegendaryrye.com. And we thank you, Heath, for your support of the Black Donnellys and the Dorian Film Toast 2021.
Oscar was a man so wild, went to jail for being gay, and the judgment wasn't mild, running all along the way. His characters jumped off the page, and today's all the rage. He wasn't shy, he'd sometimes boast, it's why we have this toast. So raise a glass and toast, a star from coast to coast, shining bright, it is your night. So raise a glass and toast, so raise a glass and cheers to the man from Westland Row, who'd like a drink, give a subtle wink to all the boys and girls he know. You sing, you play, hit millions true today. Your art inspires, the stars inspire, and now you get a toast. And the words you wrote resound through every one of us today. Be a charming with prerequisite in everything you say. So raise a glass and toast, a star from coast to coast. You're shining bright, it is your night. So raise a glass and toast, so raise a glass and cheers to the man from Westland Row, who'd like a drink, give a subtle wink to all the boys and girls he know. Us long ago, your words they still live on, and we celebrate your life through our music and our song. And you're passing from this world as let the people here beguiled. There'll never be another one like thee. Oscar fly that sea wills wild. So raise your glass and toast, a star from coast to coast. You're shining bright, it is your night. So raise your glass and toast, so raise a glass and cheers to the man from Westland Row, who'd like a drink, give a subtle wink to all the boys and girls he know.
All right, we are outside one of the most famous landmarks here in Las Vegas, and no, I don't mean me, I mean the sign. It was created by Betty Willits, and she never copyrighted the sign, which means anybody and everybody can photograph it and use it. That's why you see the sign everywhere. And as you see, signs of Las Vegas coming back to life as people are lined up to see the Welcome to Las Vegas sign right across from beautiful Mandalay Bay, where we just saw the Black Donnellys perform. Now, remember when we could all go out and go to award shows and have a really good time? I remember. Last year, we had the Dorians Film Toast 2020, and we had some surprise celebrity guests, and we happened to tape it for you. So as I enjoy the view here at the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, why don't you enjoy the Dorians Film Toast 2020, which took place right before we all got locked up. It was quite a sight afterwards, like a week afterwards. Suddenly you can't go anywhere. We were so glad to get it, and we hope that you enjoy it as you watch the Dorian Film Toast 2020 right here on the Dorians Film Toast 2021 Preshow.
Hey, I'm John Griffiths with GALECA, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics. This is a very loosey-goosey, freewheeling, fun Dorian Awards Winners Toast, honoring our winners and even nominees for the best in movie and TV across the board of 2019.
I just want to say this actually means a lot to me. I'm very happy to be here.
You're going to make me cry.
The meaning of being homosexual in that environment at that time, it must have been incredible, very strong.
You were so good. That should get you the Oscar alone. So
Keep going. You're doing great.
Wasn't that exciting? Antonio Banderas, oh my God. Oh my God. When he walked in, I was like, oh, the entertainment's here, at least for my entertainment. And we thank everyone that participated in the Dorian Film Toast 2020. And we are just around the corner for the Dorian Film Toast 2021. Oh God, it's like in what, 15 minutes? I can't even take it. The celebrities are all in their Zooms and everything is just going to plan. And it's so exciting. We've even got Charo. That's right, Charo is here. All right, I am here live on the Las Vegas Strip. As you can see, there are people stripping behind. What? Are there people stripping behind me? You never know. It's Las Vegas. But they're having a grand and glorious time. And we wanted to look at Movies Matter. That is our theme this year. Movies. Hollywood's Lifeboat. Movies matter. Movies matter so much. They can remember. Guess who's coming to dinner? My God, interracial marriage. Philadelphia brought AIDS to the foreground. There are so many issues, so many people that are Ma Rainey. Who knew about Ma Rainey until Ma Rainey's Black Bottom? There are so many people and issues that when we see them on the big screen, suddenly they become real to us. And more importantly, sometimes we see ourselves and we feel a little bit better about it all. Why don't we look now at some of the videos that our members and some Reverie stars provided for us to tell us what movies mattered to them.
Hi everybody. So when I think of a film that matters to me, well, most film that matters to me, it comes down to animation. And for the past year, I've found that animation has been just the complete and total definition of escapism for me. Mostly Studio Ghibli, as anyone who knows me knows that I love Studio Ghibli. So Whisper of the Heart in particular has really gotten me through a lot of hard times. It's just such a gentle, easygoing film. It's just filled with optimism and hope. And I think a film from last year as well in particular that feels like it's cut from a similar cloth is Wolfwalkers, which I absolutely adore, and I can't wait to be able to watch it again.
Hey, my name is Flavia. My favorite film as a kid and to this day is an Italian film called La Vita è Bella, Life is Beautiful. Though it is about an incredibly grim subject, bear with me, Nazi Germany, what is so special about it is that the father character does everything he can through imagination and humor to keep his son's spirit alive during such a tragic time. And it just goes to show that you can find joy and love and laughter in any situation, no matter how dark. Enjoy.
One of the great things of having wonderfully famous members in the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics is that we can catch up with them and see what they think about things. John Griffith, our founder, caught up with 4 panel members, well, 3 plus him, to see what they thought about movies and movies that mattered to them. And since these are the people that have been paid to actually pay attention to movies over the years, I'd give it a listen.
So now we have 3 legends here. Seriously, I mean, groundbreaking in all of your own rights, and very honored to be able to assemble the three of you here. And the fact that you're still doing great stuff is doubly heartening. So cutting to the chase here, for the purpose of our Movies That Matter theme, Judy, growing up, was there a movie that hit you that as a kid or a teen or even in college that just really struck you as like, wow, this is sort of opening up my eyes to something I never thought about, or something that soothed you in a personal way?
Desert Hearts, what year was that? I saw that in a movie theater, probably maybe was that the late 80s also? I
Sometime
think
in the 80s.
I think I had read the book and I went to see it. I had seen some other lesbian made films that I did not appeal to me at all. I don't know what to say. I just didn't like them. I didn't feel they didn't speak to me in any way. And when I went to see Desert Hearts, I thought that there was something real about the attraction between the women, the way the sex scenes were done, and a lot of it made me feel, there's pieces of me out there. And the whole thing that our art does for us, which is you're not alone. People have these feelings, and that's the most important thing.
Well, first of all, I wanted to pick up on what Judy was saying. Desert Hearts, I was so moved by that film. And then I had a very kind of funny experience. I went on a lesbian cruise, and it seemed like the only movie playing the entire time on the little TV sets was Desert Hearts, to the point where we were all reciting some of the dialogue. And unfortunately, it kind of robbed it of its emotional impact after a while. And so that's why I chuckled when you mentioned Desert Hearts.
Right.
Because if you watch a film over and over again, eventually you stop crying at those key moments.
Yes.
But it is one of my favorite films. Just along those lines, before we go back to early childhood, for me, one of the most first of all, I'd like to say that for me, films are guilty pleasures. Like, I have to say, I love the Basic Instincts and those Naughty Body Heat. Those are the films that just, I just love them. And I also love films like Network. Network is one of my favorite films. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. I mean, just the brilliance of all of that. But for me, a film having come out very rather late in life, after I got sober, and I'm going to be 26 years sober, knock on wood, hopefully April Fool's Day, which is a very appropriate sobriety birthday, since my specialty was making a fool of myself at parties. But Brokeback Mountain was a movie that I saw when I was in my first lesbian relationship. And I identified so deeply. That phrase, "I can't quit you," it was like, even now I think about it, it was very impactful for me.
1961, when the civil rights movement was strong and underway, Dr. Martin Luther King was still a living voice. And a couple of years before the March on Washington, the Rivers family, mom and dad in the front seat, my sister and I in the back seat, got into the Plymouth and went to the drive-in movies in Compton, California. And the first movie on the double bill was Paris Blues, directed by Martin Ritt, who directed HUD, Norma Ray, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, and The Great White Hope. This movie starred Sidney Poitier, Paul Newman, Diane Carroll, and Joanne Woodward. Ooh. And why it spoke to me was, it in a bold way, it broke barriers, and I think there should be more talk about it today. The opening scene It opens without the printed credits, but the opening 2 minutes take place in a jazz club where you see that everybody who may be an outsider in society could come to this jazz club and just be free and be open. You see, pardon me, interracial couples on the dance floor. At the bar, you see 2 lesbians flirting with each other. You see 2 gay men seated at one of the tables. You see an older woman with a younger man. And those are the visual images before we got to the credits. Sidney Poitier was a composer, music arranger, sort of like I can't think of it. Billy Strayhorn was to Duke Ellington. So it was a different kind of role for Sidney Poitier. And his best friend was jazz musician Paul Newman. Then you have Joanne Woodward and Diane Carroll as 2 best friends who are school teachers in America. And they saved up enough money to go to Paris on holiday. And they meet these 2 guys and romance ensues. Diane Carroll and Sidney Poitier fall in love in the movie. And he's there in Paris because he's treated better in Paris than he would be in America. And that always made me think of my dad, who said he was a World War II veteran, who said, you know, the first time a white person ever called me sir, it was when I was overseas in England and in France.
Thank you guys so much. This has been just great.
We're going to take a visit with 2 people who are helping preserve Hollywood magic through the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences various museums. There's 2 museums that are being set up. One's existing and one's being set up. And we want to tell you all about them, so when it's safe to go out again, you can go to these museums and not just, you know, see movies as something abstract, but actually get to hold movie history in your hands.
It's amazing that Los Angeles has not had a museum dedicated to the thing that maybe LA is best known for around the world, the history of making movies. And so this really fulfills a dream that the Academy has had for a century. This was something that Academy members were thinking and talking about when the Academy was founded. And so finally it's happening. And I think actually, even with the delays that we've experienced, it's the perfect time, because this is a moment when more and more people are not just thinking about the movies as entertainment, but also thinking about the impact of movies and the ways that the movies have shaped the ways that we understand ourselves and other cultures. And these are the kinds of things that we're really delving into at the Academy Museum.
I know for us, it's very important to preserve materials on films that maybe focus on underrepresented groups. It's important for us to be able to see ourselves or identify with ourselves on the screen. It's also important to see film as a window in which we can empathize with those that maybe have lives and experiences different from our own. We have a huge collection of pre-cinematic items that dates back hundreds and hundreds of years. So there's, the earliest forms of narrative art, essentially.
Seeing how they follow the various stories of cinema that we narrate at the museum, that's what we call our core exhibition, Stories of Cinema, and seeing how people react to the familiar things. We have Dorothy's ruby slippers, right? We have Rosebud, the sled, but then there's also just so many other people that we recognize in the museum, like the early African-American film pioneer, Oscar Michaud, or thinking about the work of all of the crafts. You were talking about like the invisibility of a lot of the labor that has been so important in the ways that we understand movies. One of our temporary exhibitions is on backdrops. We're gonna be showing the iconic backdrop of Mount Rushmore from Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest. And we're calling it backdrop and invisible art, because you weren't even supposed to know that you were looking at a painting, of course, when you experience that scenery in a film, but we're paying attention to it as an art form, and also looking at kind of the complicated questions that come up around some of the iconography that's featured in the background of American films. And Mount Rushmore is a really important example for us to talk about. It's really sacred ground in a Native American tradition. So we'll talk about both what this means in terms of film history and also what it means in cultural history. And I can't wait to bring people together to see how we can stage those kinds of conversations. This is the blessing of being affiliated with the Academy, because the Academy members are sharing their expertise. We have worked with all of the branches of the Academy so that set design is appropriately represented in the museum, costume design, casting, location scouting, and we break it all down. So when visitors come through, they get a real sense of all of these different areas. And then in our screening series, we'll be able to show people, this is what happens when the work of, sometimes dozens, sometimes hundreds of people comes together to create, as Scorsese would say, like these works of art. This is another reason why this seems like a really fortuitous moment, actually, to open the museum, because we're having so many debates about the value of watching movies in a theater versus watching them at home. And so these are questions that I think are very much alive for people. And I hope that they'll come away from the museum understanding that even if they watch something on a smaller screen at home, that doesn't diminish the importance of the work of so many people who contribute to creating these works of art.
So Margaret Herrick was the first librarian of the Academy. She was also the executive director of the Academy from the early 40s through the early 70s. Her big achievement, really, is that she negotiated the very first televised Oscar ceremony on TV, which is in 1952. So she's a pretty major figure. Earlier in her life, she was married to Donald Gledhill, who was I believe the executive director in the late 30s. And so she, by being his wife, just happened to look at the library that the Academy was already saving materials related to film production, film history, the science behind films. And she started organizing it. And she really, she thought we should really open this up, not just to members, but to the public itself.
I'm so glad that you mentioned Lilies of the Field, because that's a film that I remember very fondly watching over and over again with my family. And it's actually a title that's really important in terms of the museum's Academy Awards history gallery, because we feature Sidney Poitier's acceptance speech, as the first African-American to receive the Best Actor award for that role, the second African-American to win after Hattie McDaniel had won an acting award for Gone with the Wind. So that's a film that, to me, hearing my family narrate like what it meant for Sidney Poitier to be in that role in 1963, the year of the March on Washington and the year of the Voter Rights Act, it's just was drilled into me that this was something that said that there were some positive possibilities for interracial relationships at a time that it seemed, just before that, very bleak and disturbing. I think it's a film that is really worth rewatching now.
Growing up as a young gay man, I was really inspired by so many of the filmmakers from the late 80s and early 90s, from Greg Araki with The Living End to Marlon Riggs with Tongues Untied, Gus Van Sant, Paris is Burning, Pedro Almodovar. The rise of all of those filmmakers, gay people prior to that in a large way were not really seen as positive characters, and kind of seeing that and actually through moments of transgression as well as inspiration and rebellion, those were things that really appealed to me as a young gay man. As someone that grew up just kind of movie crazy, my parents took me to see Eraserhead at a midnight screening when I was 10 years old. And I was around all of these like college kids talking about it. And I remember my dad saying, because they had no choice. They had to take me to see this. Like I forced them. And he said, as long as we can have like a serious discussion about it afterwards. And it was through the fact that my parents were so supportive and seeing filmmakers like David Cronenberg and David Lynch, those films really allowed me to see that film was more than just mere entertainment, that it was also art, it was also achieving something higher. I just rewatched Tongues Untied a couple of weeks ago, along with the other Riggs films that were available on the Criterion Channel. And, just watching them just makes you cry, because this is a great artist who I think could have even, had so much to give the world, and what he left behind he succumbed to AIDS in the mid-90s, but his legacy is so wonderful and impactful. And the fact that he is a contemporary of Spike Lee's, and you see the wealth of Black filmmakers from that time that are still struggling to be seen and to have their movies seen, it touches me very deeply.
Those are some incredible panels, some incredible points of view, and you really should check out the museums when they open at the Academy, because there's so much Hollywood history there. I am Karel. You be who you want to be, so it doesn't hurt anybody. And please stay tuned for the Dorian Film Toast 2021, coming to you from all over the world, including the beautiful Las Vegas Strip.